Logan had never considered himself a naive man. He was careful, analytical, someone who believed in logic over instinct. But Sarah had changed that. From the moment they met, she had been everything he wanted. Intelligent, beautiful, confident. She had this effortless way of making him feel like the most important person in the world, as if their lives were always meant to intertwine. 2 years together had only reinforced that belief. Their relationship felt natural, easy. They had talked about marriage, about a future built together. He had never once doubted her. Not until now. Logan's business trip had taken him out of town for a conference, just a routine event. A few days of meetings, handshakes, and corporate small talk. The kind of thing he had done a dozen times before. Nothing had seemed unusual. Sarah had kissed him goodbye, told him to call her when he landed. Everything was normal. Then, in a city miles away from home, in a place where she had no reason to be, he saw her. At first, it barely registered. He had been walking back from dinner with colleagues, casually scanning the street when his gaze snagged on something familiar. A woman. Dark hair, striking green eyes, the same effortless poise that had always made Sarah stand out in a crowd. It couldn't be. Logan slowed, his heart suddenly hammering against his ribs. The resemblance was uncanny, but it had to be a mistake. A trick of the light. A stranger who happened to look like her. It wasn't possible. Then he saw the way she smiled at the man beside her. The same smile he had seen 100 times before. Soft, teasing, like she was letting him in on some private joke. And then she kissed him. Logan's breath caught. It felt like the ground had vanished beneath him, like the world had tilted at an impossible angle. The street noise faded, conversations blurring into meaningless background static. Every rational explanation collapsed in an instant. This wasn't some stranger. This wasn't a coincidence. It was her. But something was different. Her left hand, intertwined with the man's, caught the light just enough for Logan to see the unmistakable glint of a wedding ring. A ring she had never worn before. Logan's pulse pounded in his ears, a sharp contrast to the cold stillness settling into his chest. There had to be an explanation. Maybe this wasn't Sarah. Maybe this was someone else entirely. But his gut told him otherwise. A terrible, gnawing feeling twisted in his stomach as he took a step forward. The logical part of his brain screamed at him to stop, to turn around, to walk away before he shattered whatever illusion still existed. But he couldn't. His body moved on instinct, closing the distance between them. As if pulled forward by some unseen force, he kept walking, his breath shallow, his heart hammering harder with each step. She turned, finally noticing him. And she didn't freeze. She didn't panic. She smirked. Logan felt the breath leave his lungs. He had expected shock, guilt, something to give away the truth. But there was nothing. Just mild amusement, like she had been caught sneaking an extra dessert, not publicly embracing another man. And then she spoke. Calm. Dismissive. The words came so smoothly, so easily, that for a moment, Logan nearly believed her. She had an identical twin. That was all. Nothing sinister. Nothing wrong. Just bad timing. A harmless misunderstanding. His brain wanted to accept it, to cling to the simplest explanation. But his gut, the deep, instinctual part of him that had never failed him before, screamed that something wasn't right. 2 years together. 2 years of conversations, family stories, childhood memories. And never once had Sarah mentioned a twin. Not once. The weight of it settled into his chest like a stone, heavy and suffocating. Sarah had always been good with words, effortlessly convincing, spinning realities so smoothly that doubting her felt ridiculous. But for the first time, Logan didn't feel like the overthinking boyfriend she had always made him out to be. For the first time, he felt like he was seeing her clearly. And he wasn't about to let this go. Back home, the lie refused to leave Logan's mind. Sarah's voice had been so casual, so dismissive, as if he had been the one jumping to conclusions. An identical twin. That was her answer. A perfect, convenient explanation, wrapped up neatly in a bow. But it didn't fit. 2 years together, and not once had she ever mentioned a sister. No old family stories, no childhood anecdotes, no throwaway jokes about switching places. There were no photos, no social media posts, no distant relatives mentioning a twin. And Sarah was the kind of woman who shared everything about herself, her accomplishments, her pet peeves, even random, useless details from her past. Yet somehow, in all that time, she had forgotten to mention a literal twin sister. Logan knew better. Something was wrong. The unease dug its claws into his ribs, refusing to let go. He had ignored that gut feeling before, had let himself be lulled into trusting her completely. Not again. This time, he needed proof. The search started small. A casual scroll through her social media, scanning for any trace of this supposed twin. Nothing. Not a single post, not a single comment from an unknown sister. Just Sarah, smiling in curated photos, her life perfectly packaged for display. That wasn't enough. Logan dug deeper. Public records. Birth certificates. Family background checks. He wasn't even sure what he was searching for, just something that confirmed she wasn't lying. Then he found it. His blood ran cold as the truth unfolded in front of him. Sarah didn't have a twin. Because Sarah wasn't Sarah. Her real name was different. And worse, she was already married. To a man named Eric. Logan's stomach twisted into knots. He stared at the screen, his brain struggling to process what he was seeing. This wasn't just a small deception. This wasn't a forgotten detail. This was an entire life she had hidden from him. 2 years together. 2 years of shared moments, whispered promises, late-night talks about the future. And the entire time, she had another man. Another home. Another life running parallel to the one she had with him. Logan felt sick. How had she managed this? How had she juggled 2 relationships, 2 identities, without slipping? How many weekends had she spent with Eric while Logan assumed she was visiting friends or traveling for work? His mind reeled, replaying every conversation, every minor detail he had brushed off. The sudden work trips. The unexplained absences. The way she had become just distant enough in recent months for him to notice, but not enough for him to question it outright. It had all been carefully managed. She had played him for a fool. Lied to his face with the ease of someone who had done it 1,000 times before. His first instinct was rage. He wanted to drive straight to her house, demand answers, watch her squirm under the weight of her own deception. He wanted to see her panic, to watch the carefully constructed world she had built crumble in real time. But that wasn't good enough. Storming in now would give her a chance to talk her way out of it. A chance to manipulate, to twist the truth into something just believable enough to plant doubt in his mind. No. She had spent 2 years leading him in circles, making him trust her completely. She thought she was untouchable. Logan had a better idea. Logan had always believed that when you were betrayed, you confronted the person responsible. You demanded the truth. You got closure. But Sarah didn't deserve that. She had stolen 2 years from him, built a perfect lie around him while living another life with another man. There was no explanation she could give that would make any of this better. No excuse that would undo the humiliation, the anger, the loss. She had made a fool of him. Now, it was his turn to flip the script. Logan knew that exposing her properly required someone else, someone who had just as much to lose. He had debated it for days, questioning whether it was worth dragging another person into this mess. But the more he thought about it, the more obvious it became. Eric had a right to know. Tracking him down wasn't difficult. The same records that revealed Sarah's marriage also led Logan to Eric's social media accounts. The man had no idea that his wife had a second life. There he was, smiling in photos with her, celebrating anniversaries, talking about future plans. Just like Logan had been doing mere weeks ago. The sight of it made Logan's blood boil. Sarah had played them both. He crafted the perfect message, direct, undeniable. Screenshots of texts, photos of Sarah and Logan together, travel receipts, proof of overlapping dates. There was no way to spin this. No way to dismiss it as paranoia. Eric responded almost immediately. At first, Logan could feel the hesitation in his messages, the desperate attempt to believe this was all some elaborate mistake. But the evidence didn't lie. With every detail Logan provided, he could feel the man's world shattering in real time. Rage followed quickly. And just like that, two strangers, both wronged, both furious, found themselves on the same side of a battle they never wanted to fight. They spent hours piecing together Sarah's deception, comparing timelines, filling in the gaps. She had built an elaborate double life, juggling two relationships with ease, carefully ensuring that neither man ever had reason to suspect the other. But she wasn't careful enough. She had let her lies get too big, too tangled. And now, they were going to bring it all crashing down around her. Her birthday was coming up. A big event, one that she had been excitedly planning for weeks. The perfect opportunity to destroy the illusion she had spent years creating. And Logan was going to make sure she never saw it coming. Sarah had spent years perfecting the art of deception. She had crafted two separate lives, managing every detail with such precision that neither Logan nor Eric had suspected a thing. But she had overlooked one crucial fact. The truth always comes out. Logan and Eric had spent days planning their next move. Confronting Sarah in private would be too easy, too merciful. She had thrived on secrecy, so they would destroy her where she felt the safest, in public, surrounded by the people who believed in her lies. Her birthday was the perfect stage. A lavish party, filled with her friends, co-workers, and family. A night where she expected to be celebrated, adored. Instead, she was about to be exposed. The venue was buzzing with laughter and music when Logan arrived. He had dressed carefully, walking in with the same confidence Sarah had always admired in him. He knew she wouldn't suspect a thing. Not yet. Eric arrived minutes later. Logan watched from across the room as Sarah floated between guests, glowing with happiness. She had no idea that two of the most important men in her life had spent the past week dismantling her lies. The moment came swiftly. Eric stepped forward first, raising his voice just enough to cut through the music. A hush fell over the crowd as heads turned, attention snapping to the man whose smile had vanished. He wasn't here to celebrate. Logan followed, standing beside him. The moment Sarah saw them together, the color drained from her face. She tried to recover quickly, plastering on a confused smile, but Logan saw the flicker of panic in her eyes. She knew. And then it happened. Eric pulled out his phone, displaying messages, photos, evidence. He turned the screen outward, allowing the guests, her closest friends and family, to see the undeniable proof. The betrayal. The years of deceit. The two lives she had been living simultaneously. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Conversations broke out in whispers. Sarah tried to fight back. She attempted to laugh it off, to dismiss it, to manipulate her way out like she always did. But there were no carefully crafted words that could fix this. The evidence spoke for itself. Someone in the crowd pulled out their phone, recording the scene. Another muttered something under their breath. Logan didn't look away as Sarah's world crumbled around her, her lies unraveling in real time. And then, the final blow. Eric had done more than just gather proof, he had filed for divorce. Publicly. In front of everyone. He handed her the papers, and in that moment, the last shred of control she had was gone. Her perfect life. Over. Her reputation. Destroyed. And just before Logan turned to leave, Sarah's gaze locked onto his. She knew. This wasn't just some unlucky coincidence. This was him. Logan didn't say a word. He just smiled. Logan turned away from the chaos, his steps slow and deliberate as he walked toward the exit. Behind him, Sarah was still reeling, her carefully constructed life collapsing in real time. The weight of her deception had finally crushed her, and there was no escaping it now. The party had gone silent, the once lively room thick with the tension of betrayal. Logan could feel the stares on his back, the whispers spreading like wildfire through the crowd. People who had once admired Sarah, who had trusted her, now looked at her with disgust, with shock, with pity. Her friends weren't rushing to defend her. Her family wasn't stepping in to smooth things over. They had all seen the proof. There was no way to spin this. No excuses, no last-minute manipulations that could erase the reality of what she had done. Logan didn't need to watch her crumble any further. He had done what he came to do. Sarah had spent years controlling the narrative, playing the perfect girlfriend, the devoted wife, the woman who had it all figured out. Now, she had nothing. By the time she sorted through the wreckage, Logan would be long gone. His connection to her severed completely. The breakup text. Already sent. The locks at his apartment. Already changed. Their shared accounts. Drained of every cent he had put in, leaving only the money she had contributed, barely anything at all. Sarah had fooled two men, juggled two relationships, convinced herself she could have it all without consequences. But the truth had finally caught up with her. And Eric? Logan didn't need to hear what happened next to know the answer. No man sticks around after realizing his entire marriage was a lie. Sarah had lost both of them in a single night. Logan stepped outside, the cold night air hitting his face. It felt different, sharper, cleaner, like the weight of the past 2 years had finally been lifted from his shoulders. For the first time in a long time, he felt free.